Am I the a-hole for telling my ex I don't care if her daughter is crying about being left behind when my son's with me? I, 27 male, was with my ex for 4.5 years and we had our son 6 together. We broke up when he was 2, after I learned she'd cheated on me and the baby she was carrying might not be mine. When her daughter was born, we did a DNA test for both kids. My son was mine, which I felt I knew anyway, but it was also confirmed her daughter was not mine. She doesn't know who her daughter's father is, and I was asked by her parents, and her sister to raise her as mine anyway, so the kids would be brought up the same. I said no. We weren't married, so it wasn't like I was the assumed father, which made it easier for me to just get 50% custody of my son and focus on being a dad to him. Things between us aren't good, and I don't play a role in her daughter's life. Exchanges are done quickly, and I don't engage when she tries to get me to interact with her daughter or asks me to consider including her. I have sent emails to keep documented proof that I am staying civil, but I don't want her daughter in my care, and I have communicated this with her. Mostly, it's not too bad. But lately, she has been upping her efforts to get me involved in her daughter's life and to take her daughter on as my own. She even confronted me in public space and told me her daughter cries when her brother leaves and wants to run up and hug me. But since she knows I wouldn't be okay with that, she keeps her daughter away. She said it kills her. She also said her little girl didn't choose this, and she knows she messed up. But her daughter cries so much over me. She asked if I could see her as our son's sister and love her as my daughter for his sake, if not for hers. I told her I don't care. I did not make her daughter, and I will not be responsible for raising her daughter. I told her to put the work into finding her daughter's father and to leave me alone. Her sister DM'd me on social media and asked how I could be a dad and so heartless about an innocent kid. Then her friend did the same with a more strongly worded DM that accused me of being misogynistic and claimed I wouldn't act like this if she had another son, which isn't true at all, but she sure acted like it was. Am I the a-hole? Now for the top comments. Yes, you are. Clearly, you are not the bigger man and are teaching your child to be a petty man in the process. No wonder your wife cheated on you. You're not a man. She wasn't my wife, and she's the one who chose to sleep around so much she doesn't know the father. If I'm such a little man, then sure, she should look for a real man to be her daughter's father. She knows who the dad is. He either ghosted when she became pregnant, so he's not a fallback option, or he's not stable. Or both. She cheated with more than one guy, and these were one-night hookups, so it's very easy to believe she doesn't know from my side. It makes it worse for me because she put us all in danger with that. As long as you're prioritizing your own child's well-being, you are not the a-hole. It may be tough for the ex's daughter, but that's not your responsibility. Focus on your own family. Based on the timeline provided, this little girl wasn't even born when Opie left and is at most 4 years old now. She doesn't know Opie, so any expectations she has about Opie are coming from her mother, assuming this drama about the little girl crying and wanting to hug him is even true. My money is on it being pure manipulation. The ex must be encouraging this and is actively harming her daughter in doing so. I'm sure there would be some tears and fear of missing out no matter what. It's still a little girl whose big brother is off doing something without her, but it sure sounds like the ex is making it so much worse. We can all feel sorry for the little girl while recognizing that any sorrow she feels is 100% the fault of the mother and not OP's issue to fix, and not OP's issues to fix. However, would anyone be surprised if the mother wasn't going out of her way to ensure the daughter is unaffected? Whether through omission or commission, she's making it worse than it needs to be. OP, your mantra is, if you feel angry about the girl's circumstances, please direct your anger to whoever put her in that situation. I had no role in that. Don't name the mother, just make the situation clear. Then block, block, block. If necessary, return to court if the mother keeps violating boundaries. I wonder about that too. She doesn't have to bring her daughter to exchanges. She doesn't have to let her go undistracted if I go by her house to pick my son up. I've tried to find ways to stop this girl being present, and it doesn't work. So that's on my ex. Next story. Am I the a-hole for walking my sister down the aisle and saying I wouldn't do it for the girl my parents adopted? My parents were best friends with a couple named Ben and Kathy. They had a daughter who was a year younger than me. Growing up, she was horrible, especially to me. She'd steal my stuff, embarrass me in school, and bully me. In middle school, she passed around a photo of me as a toddler where I had no clothes on. She told everyone I wet the bed until I was 8. It turned out it was due to an undiagnosed kidney condition. She also tried to make me out to be a creep who was spying on girls changing. It wasn't true. It turned out to be her boyfriend at a time, but she said she saw me when some of the girls complained about feeling eyes on them. Ben and Kathy died when she was 15, and my parents adopted her and finished raising her. My sister and I were so angry at them. They knew what she was like, but they said she was family, and they'd promised her parents that we should love and be there for her. After the death of her parents and being adopted by mine, she changed and suddenly wanted to be close to my sister and me. But we wanted nothing to do with her. Our parents put us in therapy and punished us for ignoring her. But we were angry with them too and went no contact when we went to college. My sister is 2 years younger than me. We're still very low contact. My sister got married a few weeks ago, didn't even invite our parents or this girl, and I walked her down the aisle. At a family party over the weekend, it was talked about. Our extended family found it sweet. Then the girl said something about doing it for both sisters, and I said no way I would ever do it for her. She looked hurt, and my parents told me I was the one who couldn't let a child grow up and change how she was. I said she tried to get me in big trouble with that spying on girls changing. I said that kind of thing can ruin people. I also told them they chose someone who was never family over their actual kids. My sister backed me up. They said I didn't have to act like it was outrageous that I wouldn't walk this girl down the aisle too. And they said she's my sister whether I like it or not. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Stop engaging with all of them for peace of mind. Stop trying to explain. The answer ends at no. Why can't OP's dad walk her down the aisle? Why is this even an issue? OP's parents are just trying to start some drama. Agreed in both fronts, not the a-hole and don't engage. She may be your adopted sister, but she's also your bully, and that outweighs any familial relationship. Do your parents not care how this girl treated you? Sure, people can change, but scars from bullying never go away. Your adopted sister is going to have to live with the guilt and accept that you want nothing to do with her. The person walking down the aisle chooses who accompanies them, but one can also decline to do so. Stay low contact with your parents and adoptive sister. Actions have consequences, not the a-hole. They never acted like they cared. They put me at risk of being accused of even worse, and who knows why she didn't, but I feel so lucky because they didn't protect me from that. Heck, they knew she was putting me through hell and acted like she was still my family. As someone else with an abusive adopted sibling, I didn't even tell my brother. It was a small affair, so I just prayed he didn't come by my parents' house because that's where we hosted the reception. I don't even let my toddler near my brother on the off chance he's around. Your parents didn't get the message when they were left out of their daughter's wedding? Also, this girl only said that you get a reaction and cause trouble. She fully knows you'd never do that. She's playing your parents for suckers. Nope, they still hope we'll reconcile one day. Maybe my sister will. She didn't deal with as much. But me? Never. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my dad I'm not cutting off my grandma for not treating my stepsister the same as me? My dad and grandma have been fighting a lot since he got married 5 years ago. Grandma knows that dad has poured way more energy into his stepdaughter 16 than me 17, and she tried to warn him that it was pushing me away. Dad would get defensive and say I needed to adjust to sharing him, and look, I get a mom out of it, like my stepsister got a dad out of it. She told him I was being left out, and that it wasn't his wife's job to make up for him focusing on his stepdaughter. It was on him to be a father to his son. My dad called her an interfering old bat and told her to buzz off. I backed my grandma up during one of their fights, and he accused her of putting it in my head. But I went to her about it, not the other way around. In retaliation, my grandma spoiled me and showered me with love and affection, and she doesn't do anything for my stepsister. This made my dad and his wife super mad. They said we should be treated equally or neither gets anything. My grandma wrote out what I got for Christmas the year before they got married, the year they got married, and the year after they got married, and what my sister got. She showed them the disparity in what they got me versus her and showed that she had previously treated us both the same with gifts and stuff, but not more. My stepsister is upset and hurt because she has no grandparents and wanted my grandma to accept her. I should probably feel bad about that, but I don't. She got my dad, so I'm glad grandma is loyal to me and not some new girl in our lives. It's not her fault, but I don't consider her family. I wish she and her mom would go away again so I could have a good relationship with my dad. But my dad is crazy about his wife and stepdaughter, so it won't happen. I spent a lot of time with grandma because of everything. This annoys my dad. He said I should be loyal to my family, and I told him I am. He said he meant my sister and the family we have at home. I told him I don't have a sister. I live with a random girl, but she's not biologically his daughter nor legally his. I told him I'm not going to let her get everything while I get nothing. He said I had a better life than her before their marriage, so I can't accept that she needs extra? And I told him no. I said he picked her over me and I wouldn't forget it. Dad found out grandma got me a ton of stuff for Christmas, and I told him I'm going to her house this year. He told me I'm going to get showered in gifts and not cut off the woman who got her own granddaughter nothing for Christmas. I said I'm not cutting grandma off for a stepsister I didn't ask for and don't care about. I don't care if she doesn't treat us the same, because at least someone is picking me over her. I told him this all goes back to him tossing me aside the very first chance he got and prioritizing stepkid. He told me he was disappointed in my lack of empathy, and I told him he disappointed me in his failings as my dad, not his stepdaughter's dad, but mine. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your dad just trying to shove his new family down your throat, which never works. I don't know why parents think it will. Is your mom in your life? Can you go live with her? Mom isn't in my life, so I can't live with her. Hopefully after a year, you can move in with your grandma full-time. Not the a-hole. Seriously, what did he expect? If I were you, I'd be asking Nana if I could move in with her. He's being unreasonable, and just because he may have had a better life than her before the marriage is irrelevant. He shouldn't be pushing his own son out for another man's child. That's absurd. I'm glad you have a strong bond with your grandmother. I miss my Nana every day, and she's been gone for decades. Please stick to your guns. Any parent that chooses a partner over their own children is a selfish a-hole. He expected way too much and still doesn't get it, but he never will. He doesn't want to. So I'll deal with that reality. Your dad sucks as a parent. I'm sorry he's treating you like this. Go live with your grandma. You're old enough that even if he calls the police, they won't make you go home. I'll stay until I'm 18 just to make sure there isn't any legal issue with me moving. I'd hate to make my life even more sucky, even if it's just for a short period until I'm 18. Last story. Am I the a-hole for evicting my sister from my house before she claims squatters' rights? My mother passed away in 2016. She had stage 4 lung cancer, among other health issues. My older sister, who had been distant, finally stepped up and handled our mother's hospice care during her last year with us. I had bought a house and put my mother's name on it so she would have a home in her older age. Needless to say, my sister got power of attorney while our mom was in hospice and created a will for her. I told my sister, who was staying with a friend, that if she needed a place to live, she was more than welcome to stay with me. I made it clear that this wasn't a permanent arrangement and that she would eventually need to move out. I also told her she could decorate as she liked to make herself feel at home, but I asked her to leave certain areas, like the backyard and kitchen, to me. My goal was to make her feel comfortable while she was staying with me. Life happens, and I know not everything goes as planned. My sister is a cancer survivor and has had complications after recovery. At one point, she had to be on bed rest for a few months, so I made sure she was comfortable and didn't have to worry about anything. During that time, her daughter also moved in to help her recover. My niece has been living in New York City, but her lease was ending and they asked if she could stay with me temporarily while she figured out her next steps. When my sister first moved in, I helped her find a few jobs. We live in a bigger city and she didn't know anyone here. However, she's had about 6 or 7 jobs since moving in, and none of them worked out for her. From what I've gathered, there's always some kind of drama with her managers or coworkers. Eventually, I had to stop finding her jobs because I started losing friends over it. Now to the heart of the issue. Last year, in December 2023, I let my sister know that my girlfriend and I wanted to take our relationship to the next level, and I asked if she could please find a place to live by spring 2024. I thought she understood me, but by spring, I realized that wasn't the case. When I asked if she had found a place to live, she was shocked. Then she became angry, saying she felt like I was kicking her out. She also brought up my house, claiming she was owed a portion of it because our mother's name was on it. After I got her to calmly talk to me, we discussed things further. She eventually agreed to look for a place within the next 6 months. This was in March 2024. I told her I would help her with rent money and moving costs to make the transition easier for her. When she asked about the timeline, I said 6 months should be plenty of time to find a place and move out, but I asked her not to make me wait another year. This is now December 5, 2024. She texted me this morning saying, "What if I can't find a place by the 15th? What do you want me to do? And how am I supposed to pack in 2 weeks?" I didn't check in with her weekly about her search for a place, but I figured she was an adult who could handle it. If she had asked me about storing some of her things here until she got settled, I would have said that's fine. I didn't expect her to move everything in one go. So am I the a-hole here? It'd be more useful to consult a lawyer for legal advice rather than moral advice here. Find out if your late mother's ownership passed to your sister, as well as how squatters' rights work in your area. Apologies for not mentioning that my house has a joint tenancy with the right of survivorship deed. I was giving my dying mother a little peace of mind. Dude, she hasn't been looking for anywhere else to live. You've given her a year now, and she still hasn't gone anywhere because she has no intention of doing so. You need to find that shiny spine and tell her to get the heck out now. She has taken advantage of you for long enough. If we were kids, I definitely would have dragged her out of my room by now. I've softened up. Update. I think my boyfriend is lying about being in medical school. Original story. I, 26 female, have been dating Sam, 31 male, for about 4 months now. We met online, and he told me he was going to be a doctor. The first 2 months were fine, but the last 2 months I have started to feel like he hasn't been honest about several aspects of his life, the biggest being him in medical school. He used to live overseas and was in medical school there for a short time. I'm pretty sure this is true because I've seen pictures. But that was about 5 years ago. The school that he says he goes to is fairly prestigious. And I have another friend, Jason, who graduated with a medical degree from the same school. Jason has told me how difficult the program was, and how he never had time for anything besides studying. Jason also said that nobody in his program worked. Sam works 40 hours a week in an office, and I've never once seen him study. He always seemed to have a completely open schedule to hang out all the time, which I thought was odd. I asked him why he never is studying. He said he doesn't need to. I was always a good test taker. I never studied a lot in college, but I still feel like medical school is a whole different ballgame. I've spent a lot of time at Sam's house, and I've never seen a single document suggesting he was in school. Textbooks. Assignments. Nothing. He also has let me use both of his computers, and I've never seen anything on his history or anything suggesting anything to do with school. I don't know about you guys, but when I was in school, I had papers all over my house, and my computer always had school stuff on it. A few weeks ago, we were at dinner, and I can't remember how this was brought up, but I mentioned that the human ear has 30-something bones in it. I know from high school biology that it has only 3 bones, so I said it was wrong. He said something to the effect of, "I'm a medical student. How are you going to tell me I'm wrong?" So I googled it right in front of him, and showed him that I was correct. And he seemed mad. I then asked him how many bones were in the human body. And he was wrong again. I feel like this is pretty basic stuff a medical student would know, right? Even I know that. So this week I've been feeling suspicious, so I decided to prod. I asked him if I could come sit in one of his classes, I decided school doesn't do that. Fine. I asked if we could meet up on campus for lunch. I decided I couldn't come because you need a student ID to get on campus due to COVID. Fine. Then I asked to see a student ID. I decided I lost it. Then I asked him if he could send me a selfie of him in his hospital uniform. I decided he doesn't like the way he looks in a white coat. He sends me other selfies all the time. I feel like at this point he's lying, but some of my friends say I'm being paranoid. If he is lying, how should I prove it? Edit. He's not actually my boyfriend, he's just someone I've been seeing frequently. I just wrote that for the ease of the title. Felt it was worth noting that these past 6 weeks have been summer vacation, so he hasn't needed to be in class. He said he would get a new student ID when classes start. Now for the top advice before reading the update. Honey, you need to walk away. The red flags are waving in the breeze. Loudly. If he will lie about this, there's no limit to what he will lie about. Does he even work where he says he does? I've been to his office job with met his co-workers. So yes, I know he works 40 hours in an office. Let me tell you this from the perspective of someone who caught a liar. Once you catch them in a lie this big, the trust is just gone. You're always going to have it in the back of your mind that he's lying, even when he's telling the truth. Lying about being in medical school is a big lie. Yeah, this is incredibly sketchy. The empty computer and no schoolwork are the biggest concerns I have as a current university student. In my opinion, this deserves an immediate conversation involving an ultimatum. He comes clean and proves his status as a student beyond any shadow of a doubt, or you're freaking out of there. I think you know what's going to happen, and I'm really sorry in advance. Also, if you need a student ID to get on campus and lost his, how is he getting onto campus? If he's taking classes remotely, there would be no reason she couldn't sit in the room and watch/listen, so he must be going in. I've listened to this exact podcast. Seriously, this exact story. Run. Current season of Something Was Wrong. What happened to the podcast? Spoilers if you're listening. It's not finished yet, but he was totally lying, cheated on her, was controlling and abusive, got them into debt, and it sounds like the next episode will reveal how he stole her daughter. He had a second woman on his side. He made up even more ludicrous lies too. She lost her husband and kids because of him. Edited to add, she ignored everyone's warning and married him. The podcast takes place over years. And now for the update. So, the response was overwhelming and I'm glad I got confirmation on my suspicions because I felt like I was going crazy. I broke up with him over FaceTime. I didn't tell him the real reason, just gave a vague explanation about not being ready to date anybody. There are other things, in addition to my post, that I'm pretty sure he was also lying about. I didn't bring any of his lies up because honestly I feel slightly scared of a person who would lie about things like that. He didn't take it very well and sent me a barrage of text trying to guilt trip me and also was borderline harassing me into meeting up with him. Apparently he bought me a present and was trying to force me to take it. Overall, just really gaslighting and manipulative. I eventually just stopped responding and I haven't heard anything in a few days. Hopefully never have to see or speak to him again. Thanks to you all for your response. Going forward, I'll be a lot more cautious about who I believe. Sounds like you dodged a bullet. This dude has failed in life narcissist written all over him. Read your entire story. I'm glad you're moving on. You sound extremely mature in your actions and I commend you. The gaslighting is just confirmation that you made a right decision. Also, can I just say, who logically believes that an ear has 30 bones? Coming from a physician, he was 100% lying. No one, and I mean no one, works in med school, especially the first 2 years. The most I've seen is classmates doing Uber during their 4th year in the evenings. It is impossible to have a 40-hour office job and go to med school. Even if all the classes were recorded and he would watch them when he got home, he would fail out. In med school, all my classmates were studying through the day, every day. The ones who treated med school like college failed out. The only times we would go out would be the Friday after an exam week. Yes, you heard me. Exam week. Maybe the following Saturday would be a day off. Then back to the grind. Even if he was in his 3rd or 4th year, considered the easier years, he would still have clinicals at least Monday through Friday and would not be able to hold down a job. There's a reason we're all in debt. Lol. Next story is titled, Update. My 28 female boyfriend, 32 male, told me a white lie for almost 3 years, and I'm not sure if it's a red flag. Original story. I'll try to make this as short as possible, but it's going to be long as hell because there is so much lying going on. My boyfriend and I have been dating for almost 3 years, living together for 2. We have a pretty good relationship, obviously with ups and downs, but we make it work and are happy. A little background on me/my boyfriend for context. I come from a single-parent home. My father was absent. My mother was/is by no means perfect, but she did her best with what she had. We were poor. Life was never easy for us, but we had each other. Since I was pretty young, I've wanted to pay her back someday. I've worked incredibly hard to be able to do so. I help her financially as much as I can and regularly pay her bills/send her cash. I'm also her only living child now as my brother passed away 5 years ago, which basically left me to help her. I don't care. I love my mother, and the right thing to do is to help her when she needs it. But it is stressful. This is relevant because my boyfriend described coming from a somewhat similar past, and it is something we have bonded over. Having the mutual experiences seemed to bring us closer. He told me he also helped his parents financially, and we would often vent to each other about the stress it brings. I am not one to confide in many people, so having someone I felt like actually understood me was meaningful to me. So, here is where the lies come in, and I need someone to either tell me I'm not crazy and this is messed up, or that I'm crazy and this isn't a huge deal. I'm fine with either. When we met, my boyfriend lived in a condo in a pretty swanky part of the city. I live in the US Northeast. He told me he owned that apartment/condo. I found this to be interesting/odd because he was 28 at the time, and I know this property is upwards of $650,000 on the low end, and he was in an entry-level job for only like 2 years, so the numbers just didn't really add up. Whatever, maybe he's good at saving? But then since living together, I never once saw a piece of mail for a mortgage payment, electric bill, taxes, nothing. Not for 2 whole years. Very odd. Also, when we started living together, he didn't have his room rented out in the former apartment yet, so he was still responsible for that portion of the rent. He would send a Venmo payment to his mother on the 1st of every month for his portion. I don't own property, but I can't think of a scenario where I would Venmo my mother to pay the mortgage on a property I supposedly own. Getting more odd. He would then go to his parents' house for an afternoon and come back really upset. Usually when I would ask why, it was because they were having financial problems and he needed to help them out. I totally understood this and supported him. He literally has cried on my shoulders about this many times. He tried to start a company years back and ended up getting into debt somehow. He told me his debt was $17,000 and that he paid it off. I'm confused because I met him only 2 to 3 years after this post-debt accrued/company dissolved, and it was already paid off? He told me when he moved back home after the business failed, he was $17,000 in debt and living at his parents' house working at a minimum wage job. How someone with a minimum wage job pays off that much debt in 3 years? I'll never know. We got into a fight a few weeks ago and I finally had enough and confronted him about these things. Long story short, he doesn't help his parents. They actually pay his phone bill. And this was all a lie. He doesn't own that apartment. He didn't pay off that debt from his company. He initially told me his parents helped pay it off, and then like 3 minutes later came clean and said that his business partner paid it off, so I have literally no idea what the truth is there. And if anything, in my eyes, his parents are the ones who are financially supporting him. So now, I'm dating a 31-year-old man who doesn't pay his own phone bill, was lying to me and/or completely fabricating aspects of his life for 3 years. And then when confronted about it, continued to make up lies, and then came clean about them 5 minutes later. I'm obviously concerned that he could lie for this long, about fundamentally important things like our values and so on. I sincerely thought I would marry this man. He seemed to understand me like no one else, and to be a truly caring and genuine person. Now, I'm having a hard time rationalizing actually planning a life around someone who would not only lie about their background and family, etc., but also financial aspects. Aside from that, I now can't tell what is the truth and what is a lie. I've also noticed other things he has lied about, called him out on it, and he has denied it outright to my face. I see this as a form of gaslighting, as I know I'm not wrong, but he is trying to convince me otherwise. Am I overreacting? Is this a white lie that went haywire? Or is this actually a series of complete and utter BS used to manipulate me? And also, is it insane for me to actually consider a life with this man? Any advice is appreciated. Now for the top advice before reading the update. This isn't a white lie. This is a huge web of lies in which has built the foundations of your relationship. I would forever be wondering what else is lied about. Get out! This is the issue for me. It honestly wouldn't be as big of a deal if this wasn't like a huge part of our relationship. The bonding and confiding in one another, I mean. I come from a harsh background, and I had a difficult life growing up, and it was very special to me to have someone who I thought could at least mildly understand. I've also told him so many painful and personal things while he was lying to me non-stop apparently. I mean, you still don't even know what he was coming back from his parents so upset about, do you? My guess is that his parents pay a lot more than his phone bill, and they're either trying to wean him off, which he's having tantrums about, or simply declining to throw even more money at him, which he's having tantrums about. None of these are white lies. White lies are harmless lies that make social interactions go smoother. This is a man who's had no problems lying to you for 3 years about his financial situation, and who only came clean because you're not an idiot and realized the numbers didn't add up. If you hadn't questioned it, how long would he have kept lying to you? And you already know this isn't just a white lie that got out of control. You say in your post that he lies to your face about other things. So no, this isn't a small issue. You're dating a guy who literally lies to you all the time about everything, including things that really affect you and your future. So yes, I think it is insane that you're still considering life with this man. And now for the update. My previous post got more attention than expected, so I figured I'd update. Well, it's over. As many of you suggested, I couldn't possibly build my life around someone who lied so pathologically. I initially agreed to work into a relationship, provided that my ex get therapy to work through why I felt compelled to lie about so many aspects of his life. I also requested that he come clean to his parents, my parents, and anyone else he lied to or embellished the truth to. He agreed to this, and seemed genuinely interested in working on things at himself. I really wanted it to work out, and was willing to accept that maybe he was just wildly insecure, / had some attachment issues or something that caused him to act this way. I waited 4 months for the therapy and confessions to happen, and they never did. Not surprisingly. For those of you who were confused about how I didn't know he did not own this apartment for so long, / thought I had never met his parents, I had met them many, many times. But to be honest, they're pretty cold people who I never really connected with that much, and was definitely not comfortable enough to be like, hey, is your son a pathological liar or is all of this true? On top of that, he also told a lot of these lies to his parents as well, so they wouldn't have been keen to what I was talking about anyway. It got to the point where basically anything that came out of his mouth seemed like a lie or at least a half-truth to me. Also, I lost respect for someone who could lie so easily, and then not even feel guilty enough or any remorse to come clean about it. I'm pretty honest, almost to a fault. So the cognitive dissonance there that occurred from being with someone who had basically opposite values from me was tough. I'm sure there were a lot of other things he was hiding, but I don't even care. I've been single and living alone for a week, and to be frank, I'm killing it. I'm now responsible for 100% of my rent, and I barely have any savings left, but I still feel like a giant weight has lifted off my shoulders. Crazy how that works. I want to thank all of the people who gave me the hard truth straight up and encouraged me to leave. Even though it was all coming from internet strangers, it still helps to hear people tell you that you deserve more than what you're getting. I'm so happy, and I must be giving off a much better vibe because I've already had 2 dates and been asked for my number a handful of times. I'm a server at a restaurant, lol. I sound like a cocky a-hole, but God does it feel good to remember you're not as worthless as someone made you feel. Thanks, Reddit. And if any of you are in a relationship with someone who is like this, GTFO and don't look back. I sound like a cocky a-hole, but God does it feel good to remember you're not as worthless as someone made you feel. Not even a little bit. I'm so happy for you. Also, you should be proud of yourself. I agree with this so much, and Opie said it so perfectly too. You are amazing and strong and empathetic and kind and loving and honest, Opie. And now you're happier and confident too. That likely shines through when you talk to people, and only enhances what I can pretty much guarantee is your natural beauty. Of course you're killing it. Of course you're getting numbers and dates. You freaking rock, my friend, and you got this. Even though I don't know you personally, I'm very proud of you. BRB, crying. But seriously, thank you so much. I appreciate the kind words. I remember the story. I'm glad you broke up with him. You deserve better. Thank you. It's hard right now, but I feel better every day. I remember your post. It completely boggled my mind how this man could spin such a massive web of lies, And they were not even close to being white lies. Good for you. Looking back, I'm dying laughing at myself calling them white lies. Like, girl, what? But Happy got out sooner rather than later. Thank you. Update. My dad disowned my sister and he is dying. How do I convince her to let him go? Original post. Backstory. My family used to be really close, but that changed in 2003 when my dad, 55 male, discovered that my mom, 54 female, was having an affair with John, 54 male, my dad's childhood best friend. He was basically his brother back then, and he was my dad's best man in his wedding with mom. He begged her to stay and work things out, but my mom ended up leaving him for John. And eventually they got a divorce and my mom ended up marrying John 5 months later. My twin sister Sarah, 27 female, was always the stereotypical daddy's girl. Dad spoiled her a bit more than the rest of us, and she was basically his shadow back then. That's why it was really surprising to us that Sarah chose to stay with our mom after the divorce. Back then, me, 27 male, and her were the only ones to still live with our parents. We have other 4 brothers. I choose to stay with Dad, and Sarah chose to live with Mom, and in the weekends she come to stay with me and Dad while I choose to stay with Dad, and I occasionally went to Mom's house. To say that the divorce and my sister choosing to stay with Mom messed up my dad is an understatement. He tried to act like he was okay in front of us, but every single weekday for the year following the divorce, I could hear him cry himself to sleep. After the divorce, the relationship between Sarah and Dad didn't change that much. He started to spoil her a bit more than the usual and still remained the usual super dad. Showing up in every parent-teacher conference, ballet recitals and soccer matches, and being the most present dad possible. Things started to change when she suddenly changed her mind about med school. Our dad is a surgeon, and she always said that she wanted to follow his steps. But Mom and John ended up pressuring her to change her career path to become a lawyer, as Mom and John are both lawyers. During her studies, John started mentoring her, and they become really close. And after she finished her education, he got her a job at his law firm. Now on to the issue. In 2017, Sarah got married. My dad was absolutely thrilled about her wedding, and he gave Sarah a blank check for her dream wedding. To be fair, he did this to all of us, as he really liked weddings. But in Sarah's case, he was really excited, because she's his only daughter, and I always remembered him talking about walking her down the aisle. Like every wedding that we went to, he always said to her that he couldn't wait for the day to walk down his little girl down the aisle. But one day before the wedding, Sarah drops the bomb that Dad and John will be walking her down the aisle together. Well, Dad is the most non-confrontational person to walk on this earth, and she expected him to just suck it up. But he didn't do that. They got into a huge fight. First time I see him get angry. And in the end, he didn't attend the wedding and John ended up walking Sarah down the aisle. The fallout was massive. After the wedding, Dad and the side of our family basically disowned her and their relationship became non-existent. She tried to reach out after a while and make amends several times, but he simply didn't want to talk or hear about her. We expected him to turn around when she gave birth in 2018, but doesn't even want to meet her kids. Then earlier this year, he was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And unfortunately, the treatment didn't work and he is terminal. Even with that, he still doesn't want to see her again and she doesn't understand that. I'm very close to my dad, and these last few weeks are really difficult for me. How do I convince her to let him go? Now for the top advice before reading the update. There really isn't anything you can do. There is no way to make this less awkward or horrible for her. She made her choices years ago. Now she has to live and die with the consequences. I know you would like to make it easier, but I would just step back from this. The only statement should be, I'm sorry, Dad still doesn't want to see you. And spend all your energy on your dad, not on a dead relationship. I would say that by her choosing the man who took his wife and life away to walk her down the aisle, that she was the one who chose to disown her father. She needs to live with the consequences. Absolutely. To wait a day before the wedding to drop that bomb? She knew it wasn't going to go over well. Terrible situation all around. Are people glossing over the fact that the daughter took her dad's money for a dream wedding, and after it was spent, then she tells him, "Oh, by the way, that dream of you walking me down the aisle? You need to share that dream with the guy that stole your wife and split up your family." That was an absolute scumbag move. It's what I was thinking. The dad was a walking bank account to her, and she never considered all the efforts he did for her. Yes, it's okay to change plans and decide different careers, but he spoiled her, loved her unconditionally, followed her with admiration and care, and she brings a blow like this upon the father who lost everything. She took him for granted. "Daddy, thanks for paying for my dream wedding. I need to tell you one thing. I want you to walk me down the aisle with the guy that screwed mommy behind your back and then stole her away. Do you remember him? Your former best friend turned most hated enemy? Yeah, I want to give that man equal honor as father of the bride. I don't understand why you're upset, Daddy." All of this. Any idiot would know that this would cause a problem, and she had to be a cruel, spineless person to spring this on her dad on the day of the wedding rehearsal. And now for the update. A week after I posted the original post, my dad started getting worse. His health started declining really fast, and we lost him exactly 1 month ago. It wasn't pretty. I never thought it would be, but I never thought it would be that heartbreaking. He was in a lot of pain. He's been through so much in these last months. As heartbreaking as it was to us, he deserved to rest. He was tired. In the end, he was lucid enough to say his goodbyes to me and my older brothers. Hearing him saying what he said to me was one of the most painful and beautiful moments of my life. His words to me meant a lot. I won't say exactly what he said because I believe it's just too personal. He said goodbye to my daughters, 11 months old and 2 years old. It was just like when I was a kid. He gave them a kiss on the forehead, told them to be good girls, and said that he loved them. It was something I won't ever forget, and it hurts like hell that they are so young to understand what happened. They still ask about Grandpa, and every time I try to explain to them that he isn't coming back, they don't seem to understand that. And how can I blame them? I'm only 27 years old. I honestly don't get it. I was supposed to get a lot more years with my dad. It doesn't seem fair at all. But the worst part was my twin sister, Sarah. Dad died without speaking to her. I tried to talk to him about her, but he wasn't interested in speaking with her. She started getting more desperate, and suddenly he died. It was expected, but she was in denial. His funeral was beautiful. A lot of people shared their stories about him. It was nice. Sarah saw Dad for the first time since the night before her wedding, and she didn't recognize him. He was very skinny. Dad was always a bit overweight, the famous dad bod, but he had lost a lot of weight from cancer. She cried a lot during the whole funeral. Mom and John tried to show up at the ceremony, and my uncles were forced to kick them out of the funeral. Good freaking riddance. Dad's will went as expected as it could. Dad's family came from old money, petrochemicals, so he always had a lot of money. He left a little bit of money and properties divided equally to all his kids, including Sarah. He left a trust fund which was a lot of money for all his grandkids, including Sarah's kids, which he never met. It was honestly expected. My dad never really cared about money that much. He just wanted us to be comfortable and ensure that his grandkids all had something to support them. The tricky part was the personal things. He left a really big letter to all of us, except Sarah. It was really personal stuff. In my letter, he spoke to me about our story, about my childhood. It was really nice. I must have read the letter like 100 times, and I cried every single time. One of Dad's favorite hobbies was photography. He was quite an enthusiast, and the subject of his photos was pretty much our family, when he and Mom were together. Later, it turned out to be just me and my siblings. As a result of this, we had a lot of pictures from us growing up. He gave each of us a photo album, and behind each photo, he wrote something, where it was taken in a few words. I was honestly very surprised with this. He must have done this long before he died. It was a very thoughtful goodbye gift, something that was very typical of Dad. Sarah didn't get any letter, and her album didn't have anything wrote behind her photos, and when she found out about this, she had a mental breakdown. The regret was eating her alive. Still is. She was admitted to a hospital and spent an entire week there. She's doing a bit better now, getting a little better every day. Her husband and I are really confident in her recovery. She's sleeping and eating almost normally now. She still starts to cry randomly multiple times on a daily basis, but it's getting better. At least that's what I'm telling to myself. Which brings us to last week. My wife and I discovered that we are expecting again. It wasn't planned or anything like that. My wife switched birth controls last month and she spends a week without taking the pill. It's still very early in her pregnancy, so we haven't told anyone yet. The thing is that I'm really angry. I'm angry that my future kid is not going to be able to meet Dad. I'm freaking pissed, honestly. It doesn't seem fair at all. I'm angry and I'm scared. My dad was supposed to guide me in the whole parenthood process. He was teaching me a lot with my daughters. Now I'm scared of doing this without him. I'm scared of not being a good father like he was to me, because my kids deserve that. This is it, folks. This whole situation could be a lot better. I play the what-if scenario in my head every day. Unfortunately, it doesn't change anything. This is honestly a bitter ending. Doesn't seem fair at all. But that's the thing about life. It's actually never fair. I want to thank everyone who gave me advice and to everyone who reached out and offered their support in the chat. I was very lonely at the time. Still am. It meant a lot to me. Thank you, Reddit. This whole situation is sad. It really is. Listen, bud, let me tell you something. Your amazing dad did his job, and he gave you whatever he could pass on to you. Best thing you can do is live according to the good things he taught you. Grab a book and start journaling all your best memories. Talk to your family members. Write down what they remember too. This is the time to do it while memories are fresh. Losing him is sad, but find happiness in also realizing that whatever hardships he had in life are also over. Now you need to do your best to be as great a father as he was, so your children can benefit from him through the hands of the son who raised with his own two hands. I wish you the best in your journey forward. Jeez. John must have really done a number on your sister to make her think that having her bi-dad walking her down the aisle with a man that betrayed him and destroyed his family was going to be a reasonable thing to ask. Lots of women have their stepdads and their bi-dads walk them down the aisle together, but not when there was cheating involved. Did she know about the cheating? It just seems like a completely tone-deaf request. Dad probably felt used by daughter. Like one more time he was satisfied because of John. On a wedding that he paid for. He must have been so heartbroken and pissed. How cold-hearted was she, man? I cannot imagine the pain he went through. Wow. The sheer arrogance it took for your mom and stepdad to show up at your dad's funeral is hard to fathom. What did they think was going to happen? Oh, hey everyone. Everybody knows we betrayed and caused more pain to this man than even his cancer. But hey, we wanted to be here and give our condolences to our former husband and best friend. I'm sorry your twin sister didn't get to make amends with your dad, but what was she thinking when she wanted the man who caused the destruction of her parents' marriage to walk her down the aisle with her dad? Choices have consequences, and she's dealing with them now. What is your sister's relationship like with you and your brothers? Or the rest of the family? We are all very close. I am particularly close with her because, well, we are twins. Shared a womb and stuff, but our older brothers love her and she loves them as well. She was always a bit spoiled by them, the privilege of being the only girl in the family. Now, for the last story, my entire family disowned me because I cheated on my girlfriend. Now my sister wants to reconcile on her wedding day, but I declined because they are dead to me. Basically what the title says. I cheated on my girlfriend. I did not cheat on her. She wanted to open up the relationship, and I found out later that she just wanted to sleep with a certain someone. When she found out that I had also started sleeping with someone else, well, she didn't take it very well and told me to stop seeing her. I declined, saying that I hadn't broken any of the rules we agreed upon, and she just went nuclear on me and told my family that I had cheated on her. To say that they didn't take it well would be an understatement. They basically disowned me. My dad had been cheated on twice before he met my mom, and my mom's ex-husband left her and their kid, my half-sister, for a woman half his age. And in addition, my younger sister met one of those stereotypical jocks that treated her like crap and constantly cheated on her. So yeah, my entire family, parent, sister, and half-sister just loathed cheaters. My ex, whom my entire family loved like one of their own, told them that I was cheating on her. It also told them the type of acts we were having, and they just disowned me. I tried talking with them for 3 to 4 months to have them hear out my side of the story, but they refused to even see me, much less talk with me.
The final straw was when I went to my parents' house on my birthday while it was raining at 11 in the night, begging them to talk to me, but they ended up calling the police on me. My friends also treated me the same. It's been about 2.5 years now, and I've been doing okay. I moved away to another state, and I don't really have a social life anymore and put all of my energy on either my job or the gym. Then I got a call yesterday from my sister, saying that she was getting married, and she wanted me to be there with her on her special days as we used to be very close, which is true, and that she is willing to forgive and forget. I asked her to expand on that, and she told me that she is willing to forgive me for cheating on someone, and isn't willing to forget that I was a horrible human being for doing so. I told her that I am not available, and have a good day, never to contact me again, and hung up without explaining. My phone is now blasted with messages and calls which I have not bothered listening to. Now, should I actually be trying to reconcile with them because they are my family? Because I really don't want to. They dropped me without ever listening to me and just shunned me for something that I didn't even do. Also, one more thing I wanted to ask you guys. Is this something I should get therapy for? I don't know much about therapy. The only person I have told my story to is my secretary, and she advised me to get some. Now for the advice. You should do what feels best for you. You are in no way obligated to reconnect with your family. In my opinion, your family betrayed you when they left you without even hearing your side of the story. Therapy might be an option. Your words about no more social life and opening up only to your secretary make me suspect that you are deeply wounded and may need healing through outside help. It did hurt, and still does to this day, but the way my father described therapy, that it was only for people who had gone through severe mistreatment only. I was supposed to just get over everything else. Is this something I should get therapy for? I think so. It sounds like there's something deeply wrong about your family from the get-go. Especially this part. I asked her to expand on that, and she told me that she is willing to forgive me for cheating on someone, and isn't willing to forget that I was a horrible human being for doing so. I have a lot of trouble understanding just why she still seems to be adamantly believing your ex. Were you always the black sheep in the family? I wasn't the black sheep. I was just a boy. Like, I was never supposed to have any feelings. I was never supposed to cry. That sort of thing. What is your understanding as to why your entire family seems adamant in not considering your point of view at all? The way I understand it, in this situation I was introduced to them as a cheater by a girl that they love as much as their own daughters. I was guilty from the get-go, and they never considered my ex to be lying. They just considered her to be a victim here, I suppose. They demanded I apologize to her, and when I wouldn't and just asked to talk to them, they thought I was lying. They never considered me to be the victim here. This is the way I understand it. I don't know for sure because I haven't really talked to them since.